Let's start with something deeply human. Think about the last time someone confronted you aggressively. Maybe they raised their voice, maybe they criticized you unfairly, maybe they questioned your competence or integrity. Notice what happened inside your body. Your breathing probably became shallow, your jaw tightened, your shoulders rose, your chest filled with heat. Within seconds, your system shifted from clarity to reaction. This response is automatic. It's biological. It evolved to protect us. But Musashi understood something critical. What protects you in physical danger can destroy you in psychological conflict. The moment you react emotionally, you surrender your position. You stop choosing and start being driven. Musashi saw this not as a weakness, but as a trap, a silent one. And his solution was not suppression, nor detachment from reality. It was emotional distance. What emotional distance really means? Emotional distance does not mean becoming cold, numb, or indifferent. It means developing the ability to observe your emotional responses without becoming them. Most people fuse identity with emotion. They say, I am angry, I am offended, I am disrespected. In doing so, they unconsciously allow the emotion to define who they are in that moment. Musashi refused to make that mistake. Instead of saying, I am angry, his internal posture was closer to, anger is arising. That distinction is subtle, but powerful, because the moment you observe an emotion, rather than identify with it, you create space, and space is where control lives. Musashi described this as mentally stepping back from the confrontation, as if watching the scene from above, rather than standing inside the fire. From that elevated position, emotions lose their authority. They pass, like clouds. Why this changes everything. When you react emotionally, your perception narrows, your words become impulsive, your tone betrays you, your opponent gains leverage. But when you maintain emotional distance, you see options, you regulate your energy, you decide when and if to respond. That space is not passive, it is strategic. Musashi didn't eliminate emotion, he refused to be ruled by it. How this shows up in real life. Let's bring this out of philosophy and into something concrete. Imagine you're in a meeting. A colleague criticizes your work publicly. The criticism is unfair. The timing is humiliating. Your instinct screams, defend yourself now. Your ego wants to correct them, to prove them wrong, to restore your image immediately. This is where most people lose. Musashi would do something radically different. Internally, he would notice, there is anger, there is embarrassment. No judgment, no resistance, just observation. That internal labeling creates distance. And in that distance, your nervous system calms. Now you respond, not react. You might say calmly, I see your concern. Let's discuss the details after the meeting. That single sentence does several things at once. It disarms aggression, it preserves your dignity, it shifts the power dynamic. You didn't submit, you didn't explode, you stayed centered. And paradoxically, that calm is what commands respect. The internal technique you can practice. This is not abstract. You can train this. The next time an emotion rises sharply, do one thing, name it silently. Tension is present. Frustration is appearing. Anger is rising. By naming the emotion, you step out of it. You are no longer inside the storm, you're watching it. That alone reduces intensity, not because the emotion disappears, but because it loses control over you. This is the beginning of mastery, and it's uncomfortable at first. Your ego will protest. I have the right to feel this. They deserve a response. Musashi didn't deny that. He simply refused to be dragged. Why silence is so powerful. Here's something most people don't realize. When you don't react immediately, others project onto you. They wonder, what is he thinking? Why isn't she responding? Did I miscalculate? Silence creates psychological pressure, not through threat, but through ambiguity. Musashi used this constantly, not as manipulation, but as composure. When you remain calm, others are forced to confront their own instability. That's why the silent presence often feels intimidating. Not because it's aggressive, but because it's grounded. This is only the first layer. This first pillar alone can radically change how people perceive you, but by itself it's incomplete. Emotional distance gives you stability, but stability without awareness can become rigidity. That's why Musashi developed the second pillar, a skill that allowed him not only to remain calm, but to read situations before they unfolded. In the next part, we'll explore how he learned to see the battlefield before the battle began, and how you can apply that same perception in negotiations, authority dynamics, and everyday life. Part 2, second pillar, anticipatory perception, reading the invisible battlefield. Once Musashi mastered emotional distance, he moved to something far more advanced, a skill that separates calm individuals from truly dangerous ones. Stability alone is not enough. You can be calm and still be unprepared. You can be centered and still be surprised. You can control your emotions and still walk blindly into conflict. Musashi understood this deeply. That is why his second pillar was not about reaction, but anticipation. He believed that true serenity is not created in the moment of confrontation, but before it ever begins. This principle is what he referred to as seeing ahead, the ability to read situations, people, and intentions before they fully reveal themselves. Not through intuition, not through guesswork, but through observation. Calm is born from understanding the terrain. Most people enter difficult situations emotionally naked. They react to what is happening, not to what is forming. Musashi did the opposite. Before any duel, he studied how his opponents stood, how they moved when pressured, how they reacted to delay, what emotions controlled them. He wasn't watching for technique alone. He was watching for patterns. Because under stress, human beings become predictable. Fear compresses behavior. Pride creates blind spots. Impatience accelerates mistakes. Musashi didn't wait for chaos to emerge. He read the battlefield while it was still quiet. The duel with Sasaki Kojiro, a psychological victory nowhere is this clearer than in his legendary duel with Sasaki Kojiro. Kojiro was famous, talented, respected. He wielded a sword longer than standard and built his entire style around it. But Musashi saw something more important. He saw pride. Kojiro valued image, reputation, precision, and Musashi knew that pride, when disturbed, becomes volatility. So Musashi arrived late, not accidentally, not disrespectfully, strategically. As Kojiro waited under the sun, minute after minute, something shifted internally. Confidence turned into irritation. Irritation turned into impatience. Impatience turned into emotional leakage. By the time Musashi appeared, Kojiro's mind was already compromised. And then came the final move. Musashi carved a wooden sword, longer than Kojiro's blade. He neutralized Kojiro's technical advantage before the duel even began. The fight itself was brief, because the real battle had already been won. Kojiro lost not to Musashi's strength, but to his own unregulated mind. What this teaches you, this wasn't manipulation, it was awareness. Musashi didn't force Kojiro into emotional collapse. He simply understood what would happen and allowed it. That's the essence of anticipatory perception. It is the ability to see what is likely, not what is desired. Most people see situations as they hope they are. Musashi saw them as they were becoming. Applying this in modern life. You don't need a sword to use this principle. You need awareness. Before a difficult conversation, pause and ask, what emotional state is this person likely in right now? What pressure might they be under that I cannot see? What patterns have they shown before when challenged? These questions shift you from reaction to readiness, and readiness creates calm. Why surprises are what break people. The reason people panic isn't difficulty, it's unexpected difficulty. Anticipatory perception removes surprise. Even if the outcome isn't ideal, you are internally prepared. That alone reduces stress dramatically. This is why crisis negotiators, intelligence analysts, and elite leaders train this skill relentlessly, not to control others, but to avoid being controlled by uncertainty. A professional example. Imagine you're about to request a salary increase. Most people prepare arguments, numbers, justifications. Few prepare emotionally. Someone applying Musashi's second pillar thinks differently. They ask, is the company under financial strain? Has my manager mentioned priorities recently? What emotional tone is present today? They observe posture, voice, pace. If resistance appears early, they don't push. They ask, what would need to change for this to be possible in the future? If openness appears, they expand calmly. This isn't weakness, it's precision. Anticipation is respect for reality. Anticipatory perception does not mean manipulation. It means accepting reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. And paradoxically, that acceptance gives you leverage, because you're no longer fighting the environment. You're moving with it. Why most people don't train this? Because it requires patience. It requires restraint. It requires delaying action long enough to observe. And modern culture rewards speed over awareness. Musashi chose the opposite. He slowed down internally, so that when action was required, it was decisive. The hidden benefit: when you consistently anticipate rather than react, something subtle changes. You stop feeling hunted by life. You begin to feel positioned. Situations no longer happen to you. You meet them halfway, and that internal shift creates a quiet confidence others can feel. But perception alone is still incomplete. You can understand the terrain perfectly and still lose control if your physiology collapses under pressure. That's why Musashi trained the third pillar, the one that anchors the mind through the body itself. In the next part, we'll explore how breathing, when used consciously, becomes a weapon of stability in moments where panic would normally take over. Part 3, third pillar. Conscious breathing, anchoring the mind through the body. By this point, Musashi had mastered two critical dimensions of control. He could observe his emotions without being overtaken by them. He could read situations before they fully unfolded. Yet even with emotional distance and anticipatory perception, there was still a vulnerability most people never consider: the body. Musashi understood something that modern psychology has only recently confirmed. The mind does not exist independently of the body. You can have the clearest intentions and the sharpest perception, but if your physiology collapses under pressure, your mind will follow. That is why Musashi trained the third pillar relentlessly: conscious breathing, not as meditation, not as relaxation, but as a method of command. The first thing that breaks under pressure. When stress hits, the body reacts instantly. Breathing becomes shallow. The chest tightens. The rhythm becomes fast and irregular. This happens before conscious thought. Musashi people try to control their thoughts directly and fail. Musashi took a different path. He controlled the breath, knowing the breath controls the nervous system, and the nervous system controls everything else. Breath as a signal to the mind. Every breath you take sends a message to your brain. Fast, shallow breathing says danger. Slow, controlled breathing says safety. Musashi learned that by deliberately slowing and deepening his breath, he could override panic, even in moments where death was a real possibility. He did not wait for calm to arrive. He generated it. The internal logic. Musashi noticed a simple pattern. When the breath was chaotic, the mind was chaotic. When the breath was steady, the mind followed. This wasn't philosophy, it was observation. So he trained his breathing the same way he trained his sword. Not occasionally, but constantly. Before confrontation, during tension, after provocation. His breath became an anchor, the science behind an ancient insight. Modern neuroscience confirms exactly what Musashi discovered through experience. When you extend your exhalation longer than your inhalation, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the system responsible for calm, clarity, and regulation. Heart rate decreases, cortisol drops, muscle tension releases. Elite military units use this, surgeons use this, high-performance athletes use this. Not because it feels good, but because it works. Musashi didn't need scientific terms. He understood one truth: control the breath, and you regain command of yourself. Why breath is more reliable than thought. Thought is slow, emotion is explosive. Breath sits between them. You cannot always control what you feel. You cannot instantly change what you think. But you can always control your breathing, if you train it. That makes it the fastest access point to stability. Musashi relied on this in moments where hesitation meant death. A breathing pattern for stability. One of the patterns he intuitively practiced was simple: a slow inhale through the nose, a brief pause, a longer controlled exhale through the mouth. That pause is crucial. It creates stillness. Today, this is echoed in structured techniques such as the 4-7-8 method. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Repeat several times. Within minutes, your entire internal state shifts. Not because you calmed yourself down, but because you sent a biological signal of safety to your brain. Applying this in real situations. Consider a moment you've experienced. You're about to send a message while emotionally charged. You're about to respond to criticism. You're walking into a high-stakes conversation. Your heart rate is elevated. Your jaw is tight. Your thoughts are racing. Most people push through this state. Musashi would never do that. He would stop, briefly, and breathe. Not dramatically, not visibly, just enough to reset his internal rhythm. That pause often determines the outcome. Why most people ignore this pillar? Because it seems too simple. The ego wants complexity. It wants clever responses. It wants dominance through words. Breathing feels insignificant. But Musashi understood that simplicity is not weakness. It is efficiency. The smallest lever often moves the heaviest load. Training this daily. You don't train this only during crises. You train it when stress is minor, while waiting, while driving, while anticipating something uncomfortable. These are repetitions. Each time you choose conscious breathing over automatic tension, you reinforce the pathway. Eventually, your body responds automatically. Calm becomes your default, not your effort. What this changes in how others see you. Someone who breathes steadily under pressure moves differently. Their voice doesn't shake. Their posture doesn't collapse. Their presence feels grounded. Others feel this, even if they don't understand why. They slow down around you. They choose their words more carefully. Not because you intimidate them, but because your nervous system is no longer mirroring chaos. The bridge to the final pillar. With emotional distance, you remain centered. With anticipatory perception, you remain prepared. With conscious breathing, you remain physiologically stable. But there is still one missing component: direction. Without purpose, calm becomes passivity. Without intention, awareness drifts. Musashi understood this. That's why his fourth pillar was the most decisive of all. In the next part, we will explore how clear intention becomes an unbreakable compass, and why knowing why you act is what ultimately protects you from ego-driven collapse. Part 4, fourth pillar. Clear intention, the unbreakable inner compass. By the time Musashi had refined emotional distance, anticipatory perception, and conscious breathing, he had achieved something rare. He was calm, he was aware, he was physically regulated under pressure. But calm without direction is dangerous. Awareness without purpose becomes hesitation. Control without meaning becomes emptiness. Musashi understood this with brutal clarity. That is why his fourth pillar was not a technique. It was a compass. Clear intention. Why most conflicts are ego-driven. Most people do not enter conflict with a defined purpose. They enter emotionally. They react to feeling disrespected, feeling threatened, feeling ignored. Their actions are driven by ego preservation, not by outcome. Musashi saw this as the root of collapse. An ego without direction will always sabotage itself. Before any confrontation, whether physical or psychological, Musashi asked himself a single grounding question: what do I truly intend to achieve here? That question stripped away impulse. It forced clarity. Intention is not desire. Desire is reactive. Intention is deliberate. Desire says, I want to win. I want to dominate. I want to be right. Intention asks, what outcome matters beyond my ego? This distinction protected Musashi from unnecessary battles. He did not fight to prove himself. He fought only when the purpose was clear. How intention stabilizes the mind. When you enter a situation without intention, every emotional stimulus pulls you in a different direction. One comment triggers anger. Another triggers defensiveness. Another triggers fear. You are constantly reacting. But when intention is defined, it becomes a filter. Every word you consider saying passes through it. Every action you consider taking is evaluated against it. Musashi used intention as a stabilizer. When emotions rose, he returned to purpose. That alone kept him grounded. Applying this in daily life. Before a difficult conversation, define your intention in one sentence. Not complex, not abstract, simple and clear. Examples: I intend to communicate my position calmly. I intend to protect my peace. I intend to preserve this relationship long term. Once that intention is set, it becomes your reference point. When emotion arises, and it will, you don't suppress it. You simply ask, does acting on this impulse move me closer to my intention or further away? If it moves you away, you don't act. Not because you're weak, but because you're disciplined. A familiar scenario. Imagine a family discussion. Someone says something that cuts deep. Your ego surges. You want to retaliate. You want to correct them. You want to win the argument. Now pause. If your intention is, I want to preserve this relationship, then reacting emotionally contradicts your purpose. So instead of attacking, you respond from clarity. I understand your perspective. It hurts to hear, but I value our relationship more than winning this argument. That response is impossible without intention. It is not passive. It is controlled strength. Intention versus emotional validation. Many people fear that choosing intention means invalidating their emotions. It does not. Musashi never denied his feelings. He simply refused to let them lead. Emotion informs, intention decides. That hierarchy is critical. Why intention neutralizes ego. The ego wants immediate relief. It wants to discharge tension now. Intention is patient. It prioritizes long-term outcomes over short-term satisfaction. When intention is clear, the ego loses its authority. You stop needing to prove anything, and that, paradoxically, is when others begin to respect you more. The strategic power of withdrawal. One of Musashi's most misunderstood strengths was his ability to not engage. Clear intention often told him that the battle was unnecessary. Walking away was not defeat, it was efficiency. In modern life, this is revolutionary. Most arguments don't need resolution, they need disengagement. Intention allows you to recognize that. Intention as an internal anchor. When pressure mounts, return to your intention. Repeat it internally. Let it guide your tone. Your posture, your timing, it becomes an anchor that prevents emotional drift. Without intention, calm eventually erodes. With intention, calm becomes sustainable. The completion of the framework. At this point, the structure is complete. Emotional distance keeps you from being overtaken. Anticipatory perception keeps you from being surprised. Conscious breathing keeps your body stable. Clear intention gives everything direction. But mastery does not come from understanding these pillars separately. It comes from integration. In the next part, we will explore how these four pillars merge into a single, fluid system, and how Musashi lived from that state naturally, without effort. We'll also begin translating this framework into the modern world: digital conflict, professional pressure, and everyday psychological battles. Part 5. Integration and modern applications. When the four pillars become one. Understanding the four pillars individually is powerful, but Musashi's true mastery did not come from treating them as separate techniques. It came from integration. At some point in his life, these principles stopped being things he used and became the way he was. They merged into a single operating system. And that is where transformation truly happens. What integration looks like in real time. Imagine stepping into a high-pressure situation, a confrontation, a negotiation, a moment where the outcome matters. Most people experience chaos internally. Musashi experienced alignment. Here is what happened inside him, almost instantly. First, emotional distance activates. He notices internal reactions without identifying with them. At the same time, anticipatory perception scans the environment. He reads tone, posture, energy, intention. Simultaneously, conscious breathing regulates his physiology. His heart rate steadies, his voice remains grounded, and underneath it all, clear intention guides every action. Nothing is wasted, nothing is impulsive. This entire sequence does not take minutes, it happens in seconds. And to an external observer, it looks like something rare, unshakable presence. Why integrated calm feels intimidating? People are accustomed to emotional predictability. They expect anger to provoke anger, defensiveness to provoke defensiveness, pressure to provoke collapse. When that doesn't happen, it unsettles them. Not because you threaten them, but because you don't mirror their chaos. This is why deeply regulated individuals are often perceived as authoritative without trying to be. They are not louder, they are not more aggressive, they are stable, and stability in an unstable world feels powerful. Musashi's own words. In the Book of Five Rings, Musashi wrote something deceptively simple. The ultimate aim is not victory over others, but victory over oneself. This sentence summarizes his entire philosophy. Once you are no longer fighting your own emotions, impulses, and reactions, external battles lose their grip on you. No one can destabilize what is already anchored. From the battlefield to the digital world. Now let's bring this into the world you actually live in. Today's battles are not fought with swords. They are fought with words, opinions, screens, social pressure. Social media has become a constant arena of provocation. People react instantly. They argue publicly. They defend their identity in comment sections. Musashi would see this clearly for what it is. A battlefield where most people lose without realizing it. What Musashi would do. Online, before responding to an offensive comment, Musashi would pause. Emotional distance. I notice irritation arising. Anticipatory perception. This person wants a reaction. Engagement feeds them. Conscious breathing. 2 or 3 controlled breaths. Clear intention. What does responding actually serve? And most of the time the answer would be simple. Nothing. So he would not respond. This is not avoidance. It is discernment. Choosing not to engage is often the highest form of victory, because you preserve your energy, your focus, and your dignity. Professional environments. Now consider the workplace. Meetings under pressure, criticism, unfair evaluations, negotiations. The person who maintains internal order while others become reactive gains an invisible advantage. I have seen executives lose major deals because ego took control. Talented professionals damage reputations with one impulsive reply. Ordinary individuals rise into leadership simply by remaining regulated under pressure. The difference is not intelligence. It is inner mastery. Daily training. Turning principles into habits. Here is the truth most people avoid. Understanding these principles changes nothing. Only practice changes behavior. Musashi did not become disciplined overnight. He trained relentlessly, not just in combat, but in daily life. You can do the same. Morning. Emotional distance. Each morning, sit quietly for 5 minutes. Observe your thoughts. Label them. There is worry. There is planning. There is anxiety. Do not correct them. Do not judge them. Just observe. This trains separation between you and your mental activity. During the day, anticipatory perception. Choose one interaction to consciously anticipate. Ask, what might this person need? What pressure could they be under? How might this conversation unfold? This sharpens situational awareness. Under stress, conscious breathing. Whenever tension appears, even mild, breathe deliberately. Do not wait for crisis. Traffic, waiting, emails. These are repetitions. They build your nervous system's tolerance. At night, intention setting. Before sleep, define one intention for tomorrow. One sentence. Examples. Tomorrow, I will respond slowly instead of reacting. Tomorrow, I will prioritize clarity over speed. This programs your behavior before the day begins. The ripple effect of inner change. Here is something Musashi understood intuitively, and psychology later confirmed. When your internal state changes, the system around you changes too. People respond differently to you, not because you ask them to, but because your regulation influences theirs. When you stop reacting aggressively, others lower their defenses. When you stop escalating, tension dissolves. This is not manipulation, it is co-regulation. Your calm becomes contagious. Families shift, work environments stabilize, relationships deepen, not because you controlled anyone, but because you mastered yourself. Why most people abandon this path? Now comes the uncomfortable truth. Most people who hear these principles feel inspired for a day or two. Then they return to old patterns. Not because the principles don't work, but because transformation is uncomfortable. Your ego will resist. It will say, "You have the right to be angry. This is too slow. Breathing won't change anything." That voice exists to protect familiarity, even when familiarity causes suffering. Musashi faced that resistance repeatedly. He chose discipline over comfort, and that choice, repeated over years, forged his mastery. In the final part, we will confront the deepest paradox of Musashi's philosophy: why true strength comes from surrender, not resistance; what Mushin, no mind, really means; and how your personal legacy is shaped by the way you respond to pressure. We will also close this journey properly, with a strong, non-abrupt CTA, aligned with transformation rather than hype. Part 6. The final paradox in your legacy. Strength born from surrender. At the deepest level of Miyamoto, Musashi's philosophy lies a paradox that very few people truly understand. A truth so counterintuitive that the untrained mind often rejects it immediately. True strength does not come from resistance. It comes from surrender. Not surrender in the sense of giving up, but surrender to reality as it is. Musashi called this state Mushin, no mind. What Mushin really means. Mushin does not mean the absence of thought. It means the absence of attachment. No attachment to outcome. No attachment to ego. No attachment to fear, anger, or expectation. In this state, the mind is clear, fluid, and responsive. You are not forcing action. You are not hesitating. You are simply present and precise. Musashi understood that the moment you cling to a specific outcome, your perception narrows. You stop seeing what is and start fighting for what should be. That internal resistance is what drains energy. The illusion of control. Most people exhaust themselves trying to control other people's reactions. Outcomes they can't guarantee, circumstances beyond their influence. Musashi released that burden. He accepted one unshakable truth. You cannot control others, only your response. And the moment you fully accept that, something extraordinary happens. You become lighter, faster, clearer. Your energy is no longer scattered in frustration. It becomes available. The bamboo in the storm. Musashi often referenced nature in his teachings. Consider bamboo in a storm. The rigid tree resists and snaps. The flexible bamboo bends and survives. This flexibility is not weakness. It is intelligence. When you stop resisting reality, you gain the ability to adapt to it. That is where true strength lives. Action without inner conflict. Mushin does not mean passivity. Musashi still acted decisively, even lethally, when necessary. The difference is that his actions did not come from inner turmoil. He was not fighting himself while facing the world. There was no internal noise, no hesitation, no emotional residue, just action, clean and complete. That is the state he trained for his entire life. Your personal battlefield. You may never face a duel where your life is on the line, but you face battles every day. Arguments, pressure, expectations, uncertainty, fear of judgment. These are your training grounds. Each moment invites you to choose reaction or awareness, ego or intention, resistance or acceptance. Every response you give shapes who you become. The question of legacy. Musashi died at 62, retreating to a cave where he wrote the Book of Five Rings, not as a display of mastery, but as a transmission of wisdom. His legacy was not his victories, it was the internal discipline behind them. So now the question turns to you. What will people remember about your presence? Will you be remembered as someone who reacted explosively under pressure, or someone whose calm changed the atmosphere of every room they entered? Will your relationships carry the scars of unchecked emotion, or the stability of someone who chose clarity over impulse? Legacy is not built in dramatic moments. It is built in daily responses. The quiet path of mastery. Every time you pause instead of reacting, you practice Musashi's path. Every time you breathe instead of escalating, you reinforce mastery. Every time you choose intention over ego, you reshape your future. This path is quiet. It does not seek validation. It does not announce itself. And yet, it transforms everything. Your life becomes your dojo. Your challenges become teachers. Your presence becomes your message. If this journey resonated with you, truly resonated, then don't let it remain just an idea. Subscribe to this channel and activate notifications now. The next videos will go even deeper into the psychology of self-mastery, emotional discipline, and mental authority. And missing them means missing the continuation of this path. If you know someone who constantly loses themselves in anger, stress, or impulsive reactions, share this video with them. Sometimes, a single teaching at the right moment can alter the direction of an entire life. And if this message challenged you, if it made you uncomfortable in the right way, leave a like. Not for the algorithm, but as a personal commitment to apply what you've learned. Remember this, you don't need to dominate the world. You only need to master yourself. And once you do, nothing outside of you can truly defeat you.